We've decided to restructure the client relations department, Ruth. Today will be your last day. Those words hung in the sleek conference room like an unwelcome odor, slicing through the air with cold finality. Dominic Hayes, the new managing partner who had joined Franklin and Associates a mere 8 months ago, delivered them with a sculpted expression, a practiced blend of corporate regret and detached professionalism. After 25 years, it felt like the earthquake I couldn't control, but my voice remained steady. "Business decisions aren't personal," he shrugged, sliding a manila folder across the polished table. HR had prepared a severance package, 2 months' salary and benefits until the quarter's end. Janice from HR sat beside him, nodding with what she mustered as sympathy, yet avoiding my eyes. "It's a necessary downside affecting several departments," she assured, insisting it was not a reflection on my performance. But at 58, as the oldest in client relations, the thought that it wasn't about performance seemed hollow. Experience had forged Franklin and Associates from its nascent state as a small legal consulting firm into an industry leader. "Does Arthur know about this?" I queried, referring to Arthur Franklin, the founding partner who'd personally hired me 25 years prior. Dominic's jaw tightened. "All partners were consulted on restructuring decisions," he offered, an obvious sidestep. Arthur had been overseas for weeks, negotiating market expansions into Europe. "Best of luck in your future endeavors," Dominic concluded with a smile that never reached his eyes. Security would escort me to pack my things, standard protocol, a protocol I knew well because I'd helped write it 12 years ago. My name is Ruth Pearson, and up to 10 minutes ago, I was the Senior Director of Client Relations at Franklin and Associates, one of Boston's premier legal consulting firms. I'd spent my career crafting relationships with clients, understanding their needs, anticipating concerns, ensuring they felt sincerely valued beyond just billable hours. In a world of interchangeable firms, I strived to make us irreplaceable. Now, here I was, discarded like an outdated policy manual, with nothing but a manila folder and empty platitudes to show for a quarter-century of devotion. The security guard hovered awkwardly as I methodically packed my personal items, photographs with clients at charitable galas, thank you notes from families we aided in complex corporate restructuring, and a crystal paperweight given to me by Arthur on my 20th work anniversary. My phone buzzed, a text from Catherine Winters, CEO of Winters Healthcare, our largest client. "Ruth, heard troubling rumors about changes at FNA? Our quarterly review is next week. Call me ASAP." I looked up from packing to see Dominic watching from his office, spinning damage control on the phone. What he didn't realize, what none of them seemed to grasp, was that client relationships couldn't just be transferred or reassigned with a memo. They were built on trust, consistency, and personal connection. Connections now severed, painfully. Back in 1998, I joined Franklin and Associates when we occupied just half a floor in a modest building and counted exactly 17 clients. Arthur Franklin, then aged 42, was a man of ambition, determined to forge a firm where client satisfaction reigned supreme over profit counts. "Numbers are the language of business, Ruth," he told me during my interview, "but relationships are its heart." This is a belief I embodied throughout the years. While others climbed through promotions and politics, I dedicated myself to becoming irreplaceable to our clients, knowing their children's names, their milestones, their strategic shifts, and anticipating their needs. At my 20th anniversary, Arthur called me the relationship architect, noting how I laid the foundation supporting everything we achieved. The firm thrived under his guidance until about 2 years ago when outside investors sought expansion. New partners with MBAs and metrics prioritizing efficiency over experience began reshaping the culture. Dominic Hayes emerged as the most aggressive recruit. His slick presentations and relentless focus on profits had changed our unofficial motto from "clients first" to "maximum value extraction." I'd noticed the shift. exclusion from meetings, being omitted from key email threads, youthful staff being placed on major client accounts without my input. Yet, I believed my institutional knowledge and deep-rooted connections represented a protective shield, for I managed clients responsible for more than half of our annual revenue. Recently, I had sensed an ominous shift. I overheard Dominic casually discussing the restructuring as an opportunity to trim the legacy fat, citing retirement plans that could cost millions. I should have seen it coming, but after 25 years, I naively imagined loyalty meant something. The humiliation of being escorted out like a threat lingered, stinging even days later. 3 days on, I sat in my apartment, surrounded by job search websites and unanswered texts from colleagues. My LinkedIn profile had exploded with views. Nothing perks interest like a sudden termination. A rare call came through on my landline as I recognized Arthur's number. "Ruth, it's Arthur." His accent, typically soothing, was now tense. "I just landed from London and heard the news. This wasn't authorized by me." Relief washed over me, knowing Arthur hadn't sanctioned this, mingled with a betrayal that he hadn't guarded me better. "It happened, Arthur, and Dominic claimed all partners were consulted," I replied, striving for neutrality. "I was sidelined," Arthur confessed, frustration evident. "They waited until I was away, citing emergency measures to improve financial projections before investor meetings." 25 years, Arthur. I deserved more than this, I said, emotions simmering beneath my calm tone. "You deserve much better," he agreed, sincerity tinged with regret. "We could fix this. Return, and we'll frame it as a misunderstanding." I considered his offer, but interjected, "Dominic's stance is clear. I'm dispensable." The pause that followed spoke volumes. Arthur understood all too well the chilling finality of being undermined. "I'm sorry, Ruth. Our company was built on your relationships. How are those relationships managed without you?" I inquired. He hesitated, then revealed that my accounts were now managed by junior partners. Melissa Bennett handled Winter's healthcare. I stifled a laugh, recalling Catherine Winter's disdain last year for Melissa's overly aggressive style. After our call ended, I sat amid rising notifications. Clients were reaching out. Douglas from Archer Pharmaceuticals, Belinda from Summit Financial, the executive team at Westridge Manufacturing. Word of my departure had spread. I hadn't contacted them. They talked among themselves, shared networks, and perhaps frustrations. The doorbell interrupted my thoughts. A courier delivered a thick envelope containing a formal letter from Catherine Goldstein, Boston's top headhunter, alongside a personal note. "Heard about FNA. Several firms highly value your client portfolio. Dinner tomorrow?" I placed the letter down, contemplating Dominic's satisfaction in cutting me loose. Franklin and Associates were on the precipice of realization. Client ties aren't threads to be unraveled or retied at convenience. Next morning, right on cue at 7:38 a.m., my phone rang. Catherine Winters on the line didn't bother with niceties. "Tell me this isn't true. You're gone?" "I'm afraid so. They've restructured. Melissa Bennett emailed yesterday claiming to manage my relationship. She patronized me last year." I chose diplomatic words. "Franklin thinks this benefits clients." "Spare me that, Ruth. We've known each other too long. What now?" "I haven't decided yet." "Decide quickly. Our FNA contract's up in 60 days, and honestly, I'd rather follow you," Catherine asserted. This was where I might calm concerns about FNA's consistent quality, despite personnel shifts. I found myself instead responding, "I appreciate your trust, Catherine." Her call was merely the first. By day's close, 11 other major clients had consulted me about my plans. I hadn't publicized this, nor disparaged FNA. I didn't need to. The situation had developed its own momentum. Catherine Goldstein met me at an elegant Back Bay restaurant. "You're the buzz of the industry," she noted, ordering her drink. Dominic Hayes blundered greatly. "Perhaps," I hedged, staying aloof. She chuckled. "Always so diplomatic. That's your charm." She slid a folder over, outlining offers from 3 firms, each eager to recruit me and my client relationships. Compensation figures and benefits almost doubled what I'd earned at FNA. "They're not just buying your insights," Catherine clarified, noting my surprise. "They're investing in your client connections." It was ironic. Having been discarded due to expense, my market worth had soared. I wondered if Dominic foresaw this in his calculations. The following morning, Arthur called again, urgency threading through his voice. "Ruth, we need to talk. Could you come to the office?" His plea was palpable, and though returning to the office wasn't in my plans, curiosity gripped me. "Can we meet outside? Somewhere neutral?" I proposed. Lunch at the Harvest was agreed upon. At 1 p.m. sharp, I found Arthur seated, looking worn out. "Thank you for coming," he greeted, attempting a smile. "I've been trying to correct this mistake, but Dominic is posing obstacles. He's convinced the board of your termination's necessity for modernizing." His weariness carried stark acknowledgement of the precarious situation. "Clients," I observed, "aren't buying this modernizing narrative," as he elaborated on client discontent, escalating from Catherine Winters and beyond. "I have a proposal," Arthur pressed, leaning forward. "A new role, Chief Client Officer, reporting solely to me, bypassing Dominic. More responsibility, better compensation." It was tempting, perfectly fit for what I'd have desired just a week prior. Yet an unease crept in. Arthur's desperation betrayed his motives. He wasn't solely concerned about reclaiming me, he was battling the creeping threat to his own standing. "What aren't you saying, Arthur?" I probed, sensing more to the story. Arthur hesitated before revealing, "Dominic's aiming to oust me into early retirement. He's gathering support among newer partners, leveraging client instability to push me aside." The revelation clarified Arthur's precarious search for an ally in these shifting sands, his own role now teetering on collapse. "I'm sorry, Arthur," I responded, sensing the gravity of his situation. "I have current engagements with other firms I need to respect. It's just business, nothing personal." My words mirrored Dominic's earlier platitudes, a twist of irony unmissed as disappointment shadowed Arthur's face. Over the next week, I engaged with the firms Catherine had introduced. They followed a repetitive cycle: accolades for my history with clients, insinuations about which clients would transition with me, and increasingly lucrative propositions. Leaning towards Blackwell Consulting, I saw echoes of Franklin's early ethos, client-first principles unburdened by overbearing bureaucracy. Their offer included an equity partnership, a level of involvement FNA never offered, despite my significant contributions. Meanwhile, Franklin and Associates Veneer began showing fissures larger than anticipated. Industry blogs buzzed with client volatility and internal power struggles, while my former assistant, Thomas, texted me insights. Catherine Winters had stormed out of an executive meeting, Douglas from Archer canceled appointments, and even loyalists like Westridge Manufacturing explored alternatives. Then, an unexpected call brought new gravity. "Ruth Pearson," said a voice over the phone, "this is Jeffrey Hammond from the Boston Business Journal." I straightened. BBJ coverage was influential in Boston's corporate sphere. "I'm writing about leadership changes at FNA and their implications on client relations. Would you be willing to comment?" Walking a cautious line, aware of legal non-disparagement implications, I offered, "I can't publicly discuss Franklin's internal decisions." Hammond persisted, noting industry chatter of mass client withdrawal upon my exit. "7 major clients, they say, are departing, directly tying it to your absence," he suggested. 7 clients? I had only directly spoken with 15. None had openly declared departure. "I can't comment on clients' plans," I diplomatically replied. "Choosing consulting partners involves complex considerations." Hammond's keyboard clicks signaled he was documenting my neutral stance. "One last question," he added. "Do you know about the letter signed by 26 FNA clients demanding Arthur Franklin replace Dominic?" His question was like a thunderbolt. 26 clients? I repeated, grappling with the revelation. I wasn't aware of such a letter. As his call concluded, the reality crystallized. I hadn't cultivated this upheaval. My absence had done so, a testament to the relationships I'd nurtured over 2 decades. Within an hour, Thomas texted me more chaos. An emergency all-hands meeting scheduled, partners frantically convening. Dominic appeared stressed, possibly experiencing the weight of his decisions. An hour later, Arthur reached out, his tone urgent and exasperated. "Did you orchestrate this client revolt?" His accusations blunt, compelling. "No, Arthur, I haven't reached out to a single client," I explained truthfully. "Then how is our client base in turmoil?" His panic was pronounced. "The board's in disarray, investors anxious for explanations." It was now starkly clear. The relationships I built were proving their true worth, even in my absence. Arthur's voice carried desperation. "Ruth, 70% of our clients are threatening to leave. The board is panicking, and our investors demand answers." The irony in Arthur's plight wasn't lost on me. This was the same firm that casually dispensed with my service just weeks ago. His turn of panic bore silent vindication. "What do you need from me, Arthur?" I asked, extending a lifeline without committal. "Come back," he implored. "Not as chief client officer, but as a full equity partner. Help stabilize the firm and help save what we built." The allure of partnership was potent, so was the history, but those very foundations now felt shaky under the weight of recent betrayals. "And Dominic?" I inquired, knowing that reconciling our work environment would be impossible with him still in a position of influence. Arthur's tone chilled. "The board meeting tonight will decide his future." Laden with decisions, I considered Blackwell's offer, a role unchained by tumult, offering clarity, comfort, and unmatched opportunity. There, I could move with autonomy, crafting a legacy unconstrained by FNA's setbacks. Yet my ties to Franklin were deeply personal, my investments in client relations. They were my life's work and might deserve my return to steer invigorated stewardship. "I'll let you know by morning," I promised, my mind oscillating between options. That night, sleep eluded me as I weighed the familiar against the new, reflections stretching into dawn. With morning light, my decision crystallized. Catherine Goldstein got my call first. "I'm going with Blackwell," I announced, resolve firm in my voice. "A wise choice," she replied. "They will be thrilled." But I had additional conditions, and she responded with familiar enthusiasm. "Ruthless Ruth, always thinking ahead." As daylight penetrated my apartment, I composed myself for a significant announcement. By 8:45 a.m., I entered Franklin and Associates for what I knew might be the last time, greeted by surprise and whispers. "Miss Pearson," the receptionist stammered, "here for the all-hands meeting?" "I am," I acknowledged, heading towards the conference room. Inside, the tension was palpable. Partners, usually virtual, had gathered. Staff lined every wall. Arthur poised at the front with board members, but conspicuously, Dominic was nowhere to be seen. Arthur began once I entered, relief washing over his features as he announced, "Thank you, everyone. Due to recent client concerns after staffing changes, we've a major update. Ruth Pearson has agreed to return as full equity partner, leading our new client relations division." The room murmured in a mix of surprise and palpable relief as Arthur continued, "The board has unanimously voted to remove Dominic Hayes as managing partner. His approach misaligned with our firm's core values." The room buzzed, emotions swinging wildly between uncertainty and relief. And then Arthur turned to me. "Ruth, care to share your thoughts?" As I rose to address the assembled, I felt Thomas's reassuring nod from afar, backing my decision. "Thank you, Arthur, and everyone," I began, commanding the room's attention. "I must clarify today's offer. I am not returning to Franklin and Associates." Confusion rippled as Arthur's face contorted with disbelief, eyes telegraphing silent queries now bare to all. Instead, I'm pleased to share that I have accepted a partnership at Blackwell Consulting, which has recently finalized an acquisition deal with Horizon Capital to secure a controlling interest in Franklin and Associates. The eruption of shock that followed swept across the room as truly monumental, a seismic shift no one foresaw. Arthur staggered, questions painted across his face, fingering at a reality they'd collectively avoided. "The transition starts next week," I continued after sounds subsided. "Blackwell's vision respects the valuable relationships built here, with staffing continuity a priority, except where drastic improvements beckon." "Ruth, what have you done?" Arthur quietly lamented, approaching shakily. "I've maintained my integrity, Arthur, saw my worth even when it was discarded. Blackwell offers expansion in Boston, integrating successfully, their readiness synced with the recent client uproars. It's simply business, as they say," I finished, parallels of prior dismissals echoing the room. My word reverberated, now cementing the firm's turbulent fate. Arthur reeled, grasping the merit abandonment cascades birthed. Truth, albeit harshly delivered, rendered loyalty not reciprocated fueled outcomes so stark. Departing the conference room, my head high, it was now time for promises sought by true alignment. As the elevator descended, a text from Catherine Winters flashed. "Just heard the news. Dinner tonight?" Justice had materialized undercurrents exposing faults, bolstering paths formed by professional fortitude my own. The Boston Business Journal's next day headline rang, "Corporate Upheaval, Blackwell Gains Franklin and Associates Amid Client Exodus." The exposé artfully navigated my rise, from ousted executive to pivotal orchestrator, crafting unanimity from dissonance. My mention? Understated deep in text. Ruth Pearson now at Blackwell, presiding over integration of client connections. Yet within industry conversations, I'd already initiated a monumental reshaping fueled by quiet persistence. Energies refocused, integration meetings initiated immediately. Inside Blackwell's HQ, reviewing Franklin's portfolios, collaborated redesign enmeshed narratives, coax resilience. Colleagues long-ranging crossed my portal, each with blends of remorse or now regenerated respect. Scenes emotionally varied, yet universally unifying in undertones. 1 week post-acquisition reveal, Arthur requested dialogue. Drawing now elder's wisdom, 12 days wrought ages apparent. "You steered this," he surmised, recognition bitterly marred. "No, Arthur. I merely leveraged my proven value, Dominic, emblematic of systemic issues, neglected principles," I retorted. His challenge feigned control, reframed under viable influence, understanding. Symbolic architects outweigh temporal solutions, showcasing merit and meaningfulness, often shadow dependencies unmet. I presented a document to Arthur, detailing Blackwell's offer for him. A 3-year consulting position, advisory only, without management duties. Considering the circumstances, it was generous. "If you decline, you walk away with just your ownership payout," I stated plainly. Arthur studied the document, then looked at me, his face a picture of realization mingled with resignation. 6 months after Blackwell acquired Franklin and Associates, the merged entity thrived, soaring over 2 glistening floors of a downtown tower. The integration process unfolded smoothly, a testament to the worth of retaining most Franklin staff who had been valued when others had not. Dominic ended up at a smaller firm, his reputation stained by a collapse of his own making. Meanwhile, Arthur accepted the consulting role, our interactions remaining purely professional, the remnants of betrayal still lingering. In my corner office, I reviewed the quarterly numbers. Client retention through the transition was stellar, exceeding 95%. Remarkably, 3 clients who originally departed had returned, and our revenue spiked 23% year over year. As I relished these triumphs, my assistant entered, announcing, "Ms. Winters is here for your lunch." Catherine Winters, ever poised in a tailored suit, greeted me with a smile. Congratulations on the quarterly results. The industry is still buzzing about the elegance of your corporate maneuver. I grinned, countering modestly, not a takeover, more of a strategic correction. Catherine laughed. Call it what you may, Ruth. You've demonstrated a truth long understood in our field. Relationships are the core assets. Everything else? Infrastructure. As we departed for lunch, the journey of the past 6 months played in my mind. Circumstances I hadn't orchestrated paved the way not for vengeance, but a path guided by the genuine connections I'd fostered over decades. Franklin and Associates had long failed to see their true value didn't lay in systems, strategies, or brands. It was in the human touch that made clients feel genuinely understood and prioritized. By severing those ties without understanding what they truly meant, the firm inadvertently ushered me into my deserved position, earned through steadfast dedication. Thus, sometimes justice doesn't demand action of force. It settles quietly through patience and the unwavering recognition of one's worth. Reflecting alongside Catherine, I understood the journey here wasn't merely professional. It spotlighted the enduring power of relationships, the subtle undercurrents which truly drive a firm's triumph or downfall. In witnessing an outcome born from long-standing principles, I felt reaffirmed. Justice, it seemed, need not always be pursued. It might just find its course naturally, revealing truths and illuminating paths obscured until needed most.